Hey everyone, Eric here. Welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk all things related to personal finance, investing, and real estate, all in the pursuit of financial freedom. I'm a 27-year-old insurance broker, real estate investor, and entrepreneur based out of Kansas City. I have a passion for teaching others financial literacy so that way they can succeed with money. Today we're going to go over the difference between buying and leasing a car, as well as weighing all the pros and cons of each option. If you stay till the end, I'll walk you through an example of buying a car versus leasing a car, so that way you can gain some insight to make the best decision based on your situation. If you get any value out of this video, please destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps me grow the channel and is greatly appreciated. If financial freedom interests you, subscribe to the channel down below. I post every Monday through Thursday. And one last thing, don't forget to leave a comment down below. I read all the comments and I try to respond to as many as I can. Thank you so much, and let's get into the video. Let's talk about the ways we can acquire a car. For one option is a lease. A lease is essentially a car rental with the option to purchase the car at the end of the rental period. The average rental period is about 3 years and 12,000 miles a year. At the end of that rental period, you'll have the option to purchase the car as is for the remaining balance due, or you can walk away free and clear with the ability to move on to do another lease or purchase a new car or a used car. Totally up to you. Let's talk about the pros of a lease. Number one, low maintenance. Outside of oil changes, you're really not going to be seeing much because these are new cars. They're going to be covered under factory warranty if really anything goes wrong. So that's pretty nice to have in our back pocket. Can't go wrong there. Now, another nice perk is you're always going to have the newest, most up-to-date features because your car's typically never going to be more than 3 years old. So you're never going to have to worry about really being out of date with anything. Another important pro about leasing a car is that you're only taxed on the amount of lease payments you make, not the total amount of the car. So your sales tax is going to be a fraction of what the total price of the car is if you were to finance it, which can save you a lot of money getting into a car. The last pro we'll go over today when it comes to leasing, and honestly the most attractive for most people, is you can drive more car for less of a payment than traditional financing. Because your payment when leasing a car is based solely on the amount the car will go down in value over the time you use it, versus the entire price of the car when it comes to traditional financing. Now we've gone over the pros, let's go over some cons because this is important for us to know as well. Number one is you're limited in the amount we can use the car. Because we're renting it and we have a mileage restriction, and if you go over that mileage amount, you're going to pay a penalty. And unless you're willing to pay that penalty, you can't use the car. Number two, it's because you're not building equity into the car, at the end of the lease agreement, you give it back to the dealership, you have no equity to your next vehicle. So you tend to make payments a lot longer than the average person financing a car or even just buying it outright. So let's now talk about buying a car. So we have two options. We can either buy it cash or buy it financing it. Now, in most cases, I'd recommend buying the car cash, but with low interest rates and really the world we're living in where money can be a little tight, I can understand really financing a car making some sense. Now that we've talked about how to buy a car, let's talk about the benefits of owning a car. Number one is you can use the car as much as you need to or as little as you need to. No pressure to use it because we don't have a timetable to return it, as well as you can use it as much as you need to because it's your car. There's no mileage penalties like a lease. Now, number two is flexibility. You can sell it tomorrow, walk away, or you can keep it for 10 to 15 years. It's totally up to you. Now, number three is eventually having no car payment. Because regardless if the car is paid in full at the time of purchase or financed, at some point you'll have that car paid off. This gives you peace of mind that you'll have one less payment eating into your monthly income on your budget. So now let's talk about the cons of owning a car. Number one, higher barrier to entry. Because regardless if we pay for the car in full or finance our payment, it's based on the total purchase price of the car. Unlike a lease where you're only paying for the value of the car that is lost over the period of ownership. Now, the second con to owning a car is typically higher maintenance because we're owning this car over a period of time that's on average 6 years, over that time items tend to get out of warranty, and you're going to be starting to be on the hook for major items that come up down the road, not on the car manufacturer. Lastly, cars are a depreciating asset. In most scenarios, the money spent on them generates a negative return over time. Now, although we need them to do important tasks in our lives, we need to be aware to not overspend in these categories. But I'll save that topic for another video because I could spend an entire video just talking about how to buy a car within our means. Now that we've gone over the pros and cons of owning versus leasing a car, to help provide some clarity as to what might be the best option for you, here's a theoretical example. For this example, I wanted to pick a car that most people were familiar with and also had a low barrier to entry. So I decided to choose a 2021 Honda CR-V. The base model price of this car is $25,350. The two assumptions here are going to be we have a 720 plus credit score and we're putting no down payment. If you want to put a down payment on the car, it's totally up to you. But for this theoretical situation, it will affect both sides essentially the same, as well as if you have a lower credit score, it's going to increase your lease payment and it'll increase the amount financed on the car ownership side. So this is just our two assumptions for the mathematical portion. So now let's break down the lease numbers on this Honda CR-V. According to Honda, with us putting no money down and having a 720 plus credit score, we're going to be allowed to drive this car 12,000 miles a year for 3 years, and it's going to cost us $405 a month. And this is including the taxes as well. The only things not factored in here are one-time dealer fees to acquire the car and yearly registration. This should be very similar to ownership, so it will not be included. Now let's break down the acquisition cost of purchasing a car. Now, at the time of filming this video, assuming good credit, we can get financing on a new car at about 2.4%. This will be depending on the age of the car you're looking for and the credit score of the borrower. Again, assuming we're putting nothing down, our payment is going to be $783.82 a month for 36 months. This will bring a total cost over the 3-year period to own this car $28,217.52, and that's including taxes. It's also excluding dealer fees and registration fees on a yearly basis, again, because you'll have that with a lease and the purchase of a car. Now, this is where you might say, well, Eric, if I'm going to give the car back in 3 years, why would I buy it? I'm paying essentially half to lease it versus owning it. 28,000 minus at 14,000. Why would I spend that much money? And that's a good question. To that question, I'd say you're correct. If we were solely looking at the total amount of payments made over that period of time, it would be about double. But what we need to factor in is the car's worth. Because now we own it outright, and when we go to sell it, we can recapture its value. Assuming 36,000 miles of use, just like the lease, over a 3-year period, just like the lease, Kelley Blue Book will assume our 2021 CR-V in the year 2024 will be worth $19,374 on the low end, and on the high end, $20,817. Now, assuming we took the low end, I'd rather shoot low than high, the total price of our car with total payments made will be $28,217.52. And when we go to sell the car, we will receive $19,374. We will be left with a total cost after selling the car of what we paid to own the car over a 3-year period of $8,843.52 as a total cost of ownership over that 3-year period. When evaluating the car, it's going to save us $5,737.48 to finance it versus lease it. Although in this scenario, it makes a lot more sense to own versus lease, but that's not always the case. It's a little bit dependent on your situation. So here's my final takeaways you need to know before you buy or lease a car. My first takeaway is if you plan to keep this car more than 3 years, you would be far better off in most cases buying versus leasing. Do not let the lower payments deceive you. If you like the car and plan to keep it, buy it and keep it for the long haul. If you really can't afford those finance payments, in all honesty, you really can't afford the car in the first place. Now, my final takeaway is if you are leasing a car, you're just paying for the convenience of not having to deal with the car at the end of the agreement, because all the onus is on the dealership to take it back. You're paying solely for the ability to keep it if you like, or just hand it back when you're done. Not have to worry about selling it, getting fair market value, any of that. That's on the dealership. So when you run the numbers and you see the difference of buying it versus leasing it, because it's going to be different car to car, whatever that difference is, that's the price of convenience that you need to decide if that's worth it or not. And to each person, that's an individual choice. If it's worth it to you, then leasing's a great option for you. With that being said, if you made it this far and have not done so already, please destroy the like button. And if you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe. I'm posting new content Monday through Thursday, and it would mean so much to me if you leave a comment down below as well. Love to interact with you and get your feedback, and I look forward to seeing you guys real soon.